And now, it's time for a nerd movie. Suffice it to say, we have watched some spacey things on this podcast.
A few.
Yeah. Mostly of the Star Trek ilk, of course. We did watch Star Wars. That's the only other non-Star Trek thing we watched so far. But as we're kind of just looking at space stuff in general, I'm curious, Aren, what makes a good space movie? Space!
Well, space, for one. But, I don't know, that's a hard question, because it depends on what kind of, movie you're trying to make. Because, I mean, in Star Wars, space is there, but it's just a backdrop. It's not really doing anything. Other movies, space is like a character, or, provides some kind of obstacles in some way.
What do you think the appeal of like a space movie or a space setting kind of film?
The unknown. You never know what you're going to find out there. I mean, a lot of movies and stuff is kind of like escapism, and it's like super escapism if it's like away from Earth and all of its nonsense. So. Okay.
I like that. The unknown, I feel like, because there are different kind of, it's not really a genre per se, because it's like, are Alien and Star Wars the same genre? I'm like, they're both in space, but they're very different kind of movies. But I guess the unknown would be a similar quality to both. Yeah. Okay. I like that. Very Star Trek-y too, the unknown.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I guess we can see if this little film we're watching today has any thoughts and feelings on space. Because we are not watching Star Trek today. We are watching Interstellar today. This is going to be Nerd Movie 6. Our little special in between Star Trek episodes, Interstellar. I am excited for this. I have not seen this since the first time in the theaters. Aren, I know you love this one. So
greatest movie ever made.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Interstellar, greatest movie. Go check it out. Bye. No, welcome to the show, everyone. I am your cosmic host, Jaron Hatch, and I'm joined here by my astronomical co-host, Aren Hatch. Aren, hello.
Hello.
But this is going to be the last time I'm saying hello to you.
Don't say
this
that.
is really goodbye.
Yeah,
goodbye.
we're literally never going to talk ever again.
Never again. Yeah, so we do have to say before we go much further, Aren has been here watching Star Trek Voyager with me, and it's been quite the time.
It's been a very fun time.
There's been some good, there's been lots of bad.
It's not lots of bad. It's more just like there's been good and then there's been mediocre.
Okay, lots of mediocre with speckles of good. Did we watch anything that was really like bad? It was just mostly mediocre.
The last 2 minutes of Alliances.
Okay, that was bad. that was bad. Yeah, and so now this is going to be, Aren, your last episode as co-host. Oh no, at least for now. We don't know what the future holds, so who knows? Maybe you'll be back in that chair once again.
Please.
Talking about Star Trek with me. This will be a good final episode, because like you said, this is your favorite movie, so
yeah.
I feel like we're going out on a good high note. And I feel like this is somewhat appropriate for leaving Voyager, because these are both very different things, but they're both about going out there.
You're just thrust out there alone.
Yeah.
To whatever.
This will be a good note. We can finally watch something good. Well, coming on, joining us to watch and talk about this silly little space movie, we have a few guests with us. Mix of returning and new. First off, coming back on the show, we have the very lovely Ananda Spike back on. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me here. I love this movie.
thanks for coming back. Like, after trying to get you on for 2 years, we got you back in like 2 months.
I know. Well, once you said Interstellar, I'm there. So.
I'm on. So does that mean next time we'll get you on within 2 days? Coming back on Tuesday? And
that sounds good, depending on what we're going to talk about. But yeah, definitely.
Okay. Ananda, last time you were here, we watched Star Trek. We watched Prime Factors. That's the one where the Voyager crew are presented with a way home, and then they find themselves on the opposite side of their little precious Prime directive and have to kind of wrestle with the ethical dilemma. I think we had a good talk. That was a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. About rules and when is it okay to break them? Is it okay to break them? So that was a great discussion. Very
philosophical, as our conversations so often are, Ananda.
Indeed.
And last time you were on, you did mention that you were, because we always like to ask what kind of nerd everyone is on the show. There's a few things you said. You definitely said you were a movie nerd. You like movies. You use movies in your philosophy classes to make kind of and illustrate points.
Yeah, I think movies are a great way to help individuals better understand deep philosophical concepts and themes that perhaps can be visually represented in a film. And of course, the dialogue is key to it as well. So I watch a lot of movies and I use a lot of movies in my teaching.
If you are, I know this can be fairly broad, but if you are ever just like wanting to sit down, go watch movies, again, I know it's going to depend on what mood, but on a general sense, like, what are you looking to see? What kind of movies are like, they're like, I want to go see that, or I want to sit down and watch that? What's drawing you, Ananda?
Yeah, I'm a little biased towards those movies that have like a message or have some deep significance to them. I'm okay with like action movies and things like that. But for me, it's about what can I get out of the movie? What kind of insights can I learn? How can it make me think deeper about who I am and the world that we live in and other people? Yeah. And those are the types of movies that I'm drawn to the most.
We do have to say that you are definitely a big Christopher Nolan fan.
Understatement. Hello. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, yes. I feel like almost every day you're coming back to me at work just like, Christopher Nolan, Jaron, and I was watching Interstellar, or I was watching Inception last night and we caught it on TV. And
Exactly. I've seen it several times, but if I happen to catch it on TV, guess what? I have to sit down and watch it again.
You have also gone on record, I think, more or less, as saying Interstellar is also your favorite movie ever.
It is, hands down, which is saying a lot. Because
hands down.
I love movies, and I've seen quite a few, and I use them in my teaching, as I mentioned. But for me, this one actually dethroned American Beauty, which was my first favorite movie for a long time. And then when this one came out, it took top place.
Two very different kinds of movies.
Exactly.
So you and Aren are both going to be our hardcore fans coming on for this. Just real quick, we're going to get into it, but just real quick, like why Christopher Nolan and why this movie?
Oh boy, how much time do I have now? I think the visuals are just stunning. And then if you add in Hans Zimmer's soundtrack to that, and then, of course, the deep dialogue that happens, you put those three together in any given scene, there's a lot to take from that. So I think it's not just a movie that you're just kind of going along with, but you're getting an experience by watching this movie. And that gets enhanced with the visuals and the soundtrack.
Well, thank you also for coming back, Ananda.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yay! As well as Ananda, we have a couple of new friends on to guest host with us today. First, just off to my left over here, we have the very lovely Benjamin Spike on with us. Yay!
Thank you for having me.
Welcome aboard, Ben. I'm glad we finally got you into the USS Jaron's living room podcast studio.
That's nice.
As you might have guessed at home, Ben is Ananda's husband. So,
Yay.
and this is a movie about love, so it would be perfect. Ben, you do cancer research.
That's right. Yeah.
Are you up at the U or?
Yeah, I'm at the Huntsman Cancer Institute at the University of Utah.
One of the best ones in the country, must add. I'm curious, Ben, like first off, what exactly do you do with your specific cancer research, and how did you get into cancer research?
Well, I'll do the second one first. I was a history major originally, and that's, and studying World War II history is what got me on exchange to Germany. And while I was there, I was freed up to take all sorts of classes, and I took a couple biology courses, and I really enjoyed them. And I just thought that would be, something that's changing every day and challenging every day. And so because I get bored easily, I thought, hey, I need a job or a career where it's a new riddle every day.
Cancer.
Or a riddle I can work on every day. And unfortunately, cancer is one of those things.
Yeah.
So, but we've been making progress, and we study, we've done most of our studies in breast cancer research. But my lab's focus is really on sort of stem cell biology and differences in the ways that cells have different phenotypes or act in different ways depending on their genetics.
I always like to ask Ben, the tradition on this show, this is a very nerdy podcast, what flavor of nerdy jam is yours? Would you categorize cancer and biology? You mentioned World War II.
I'm a Renaissance nerd. I'm interested in all sorts of nerdiness.
I'm the Da Vinci of nerds.
No, I'm not the Da Vinci of it, but I'm a fan of the broad spectrum nerd, and so I nerd out over lots of things. You're right. My prime interest in cancer is, of course, helping people and curing a disease, but basically I'm just a big nerd about how intricate the biology is and how does this work. I'm a history nerd. I'm a nerd in a few different places. Movies is one of them. So I like movies a lot as well. And Ananda and I talk about movies a lot. So
sit down and debate what you just watched.
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this. I know you are also a fan, but probably not on the same hardcore level as Ananda and Aren. Unless maybe you are.
No, I am a big fan. I like Nolan a lot. I like what he does with sound and what he does with time, which he does in basically every film. But not probably very good film. I don't want to get slugged because I'm sitting right next to her, but not probably my top 10. But still a very good film.
About?
Shots fired.
I like character development films.
Okay.
I like films without much dialogue, so this kind of fits that. But
yeah.
Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
That's my film.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts as well, Ben. Something a little to kind of drown out these two rabid fans over here.
Hey now.
Also, we have another new friend on the show with us, coming to share their thoughts. Someone who has not seen this movie, so we will have a newbie. Also joining us on the big green couch, we have the very lovely True Moore with us. Yay!
Howdy.
True, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming over. I'm so glad you said yes to this, and that you haven't seen it, because I was trying to find who hasn't seen this. And it was actually harder than I thought. Someone who hadn't seen this. I was like, oh man, lots of people have seen this, but you haven't, True, so I snagged you.
Yes, one of those movies I feel like everyone has seen, but I'm just like, I still haven't seen it, so this will be perfect.
You'll finally be able to join the cool club, True. For those who don't know, True is a friend of mine and a fellow coworker from Utah Symphony, Utah Opera, as is Ananda. So there's a few of us representing today. You've been a terrific employee, True.
Well, thank you very much for hiring me.
You're welcome. True, as far as your kind of nerddom goes, I know a few things. I know you like horror. I know you like books, and I know you also write stories. You work on stuff.
I do indeed.
How exactly would you classify your nerddom? Writing, literary?
Literary is definitely a big one. I love plays, reading and writing them. I enjoy classic horror, like things written in the early 1900s and even before that. I do love horror movies, though. However, my taste in horror movies is very different from my taste in horror books. For horror books, my favorite author is H.P. Lovecraft, so that's more cosmic horror. However, when it comes to movies, I do prefer body horror and slasher films. So the kind of the cheesier, the gutsier, the more low budget it is, the better.
I believe your favorite film or horror film is The Reanimator?
Yep, it sure is, with good old Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, Star Trek cred over here. What are your thoughts on, because I know like the big three in speculative fiction are horror, fantasy, sci-fi. Those are the big three. Where are you on, say, like sci-fi?
I do love me a good sci-fi. I'm kind of weird because I prefer reading over watching sci-fi, but I prefer watching over reading fantasy. So
interesting.
Because I do like hearing authors dive into the world of sci-fi more in books. Like, you can only see so much on screen. With fantasy, it's kind of easier to grasp a world on screen. But with sci-fi, I feel like it's easier to understand more if you're reading it. Because I feel like a lot can go unsaid if you're watching a movie, like specifically a sci-fi movie. But I do love sci-fi. I love Star Trek. I like Star Wars. So it's not something I hate, but I'm kind of picky about it. I am excited, though, to watch Interstellar because I've heard it very much dives into that, like, unknown aspect of sci-fi in space, which is definitely kind of my favorite part of sci-fi, which I feel like isn't explored enough.
I love that. Yeah. Then this movie's definitely for you if that's kind of what you're kind of hoping for. Yeah, I love all that. That, of course, also means at some point I'm going to snag you for Star Trek. I hope you realize, True. As soon as someone says, I like Star Trek, I'm like, you fool. You never tell me that. That means you're going to be on my podcast probably several times. Hell yeah. And yeah, good little panel. I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts on this. Before we get into it, I wanted to open up the question to all of you, and I know it's fairly broad, but I'm curious as to kind of what you guys all think. Like, what makes a good space movie, or like, what is the appeal of a space movie or space as a setting? What do you guys think?
I had a thought when you asked it earlier, which is that a lot of space movies, you do get out into the unknown, but it also means you can peel away a lot of the setting that would be here on Earth and just add back parts that are relevant to your story. So it's sort of a simplified setting. And I think that kind of distills characters a bit. So you can really, so I like characters, and so you can really peer into a character in a minimalist setting a little bit.
Kind of makes me think of Gravity with Sandra Bullock. It's
totally.
Basically, that movie is mostly just her in space.
Yeah. Totally.
I like that. Yeah, it can be a fun way to kind of strip away just a lot of the other stuff and
focused
get
set.
Really probably what makes kind of, when I think about it, Star Trek so fun, because it is such a kind of humanistic kind of a thing, but they're away from Earth and
so they always pick, like, it's really minimalist. It's like 5 things and they're right in your face.
Yeah.
This is the moral dilemma of this episode or whatever, right?
Yeah.
For me, what makes a good space movie, I think, is what space is actually like and how it's visually represented in a movie. That's why this movie is just phenomenal, because we go to like 4 or 5 different types of space out there. And so I'm really into movies where they try to let us know what it would be like had we gone to this area or this place or had this experience out in space. And actually, after I saw this movie, suddenly I wanted to sign up for NASA, and I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. The wonder and curiosity. I mean, a lot of that is actually part of why this movie got made in the first place. Is wanting to show like what might be out there and like visualize it, and I love that too. Just like because there's still so much we just don't know, so it's like, what would this be like? It's so different from here. What do you think, True? Space movies.
I kind of have a similar answer, but it kind of makes me think of one of the reasons I like horror and why so many people like horror is because of how much we don't know about space. That's why there's a lot of movies about underwater as well. The underwater makes up most of the Earth's surface, yet we know more about outer space than we do about the ocean. And you're in the dark in the woods and you don't know what's out there, so it scares you. You see that big infinity just in the sky, and if you think about it too hard, it will start to scare you. And so I think one great thing about space movies is just realizing, because they can kind of throw you into that realization of, whoa, look at how much is out there, look at how big everything is out there, and it kind of almost is a reminder to audiences. But one thing I do really like about certain space movies, similar to ones like The Martian, is when they actually do a lot of research and try to make them as accurate as possible and use actual science to back it up. I think that's really cool and really fun because you just know that there were people nerding out and making it into like kind of a passion project.
Yeah. I also love that, and I always understand creative license, but frankly, I think the more they can be actual true to the scientific reality. I mean, unless you're doing Star Wars, that's who cares?
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
But I think there's a way to do the real science that makes it always just feels so much more interesting. And I think sometimes there are filmmakers who are like, they're gonna be bored. I'm like, no, that's what makes it so cool. It's like, this is real stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I really like this film, because Christopher Nolan did take the time to consult with actual scientists and astrophysicists and get their insights on if I wanted to represent this in some way, what would be the best way to do it. And I think he nailed it.
Yeah. I think one little quick thing I'll add on to everyone's answers is, I think, and it's kind of, I think what you were saying, Ben, and I think kind of on some level everyone, but I think with space, there's this kind of inherent survival aspect to space movies, just because once you're like, again, you're removed from like Earth and everything, and even if the movie isn't, or the show or the story isn't necessarily about survival, but as soon as you're in a tin box in space, there's always this implied threat, like danger is literally right out the door, like the airlock, just like, you can't go out there. So I feel like it's this really fun way to inherently raise the stakes, even if that's not necessarily what the story is about per se, but there's always this survival element like in the back of your mind that at any moment, who the hell knows what's going to happen to these people and what could happen. And I like that. There's without it being some like evil mustache twirling villain or something, there's just like the environment itself is dangerous, and they always have to be on the alert. I think I like that vibe. There's this it's spooky, but a different kind of spooky. We're just like, oh man, don't screw this up, everyone. Hell yeah, good answers. Yeah, I guess we can see if Interstellar gives us any thoughts and feelings and additional opinions on what makes a good space movie.
Oh, it's going to give so many.
Yeah,
so many.
Hell yeah. Well, yes, we are watching Interstellar today on Nerd Movie 6. This premiered November 7th, 2014. And this is the film that this is the first film Christopher Nolan did after like finishing the Dark Knight trilogy, which is what shot him into superstardom and made him a household name. So at this point, I think he's kind of in this place where now Christopher Nolan can kind of do whatever he wants. So this is kind of like the first film now that he's kind of really kind of I can do whatever I want. So I think in addition to like our kind of just our inquiries about space and space movies, we can also take a dive into Christopher Nolan. All right. Those of you at home who are going to watch along with us, I do believe Interstellar is currently streaming on Paramount Plus. I think you can also rent this on like Amazon Prime. I think you can watch this on Pluto too. A bunch of other places. We, of course, are going to be watching the fancy 4K Blu-ray on the fancy HDR TV. All right, everyone. We will be back after we watch Interstellar.
Stars kept the Endurance right where we needed her, but the trip took years longer than we anticipated. We no longer have the fuel to visit both prospects, so we have to choose.
But how? They're both promising. Edmund's letter is better, but Dr. Mann is the one still transmitting, so.
We've no reason to suspect Edmund's data would have soured. His world has key elements to sustain human life.
As does Dr. Mann's.
Cooper, this is my field. And I really believe Edmund's is the better prospect.
Why?
Gargantua, that's why. Look at Miller's planet. Hydrocarbons, organics, yes. But no life. Sterile. We'll find the same thing on Mann's.
Because of the black hole.
Murphy's Law. Whatever can happen will happen. Accident is the first building block of evolution, but when you're orbiting a black hole, not enough can happen. It sucks in asteroids and comets, other events which would otherwise reach you. We need to go further afield.
You once said that Dr. Mann was the best of us.
He's remarkable. And we're only here because of him.
And yet here he is. He's on the ground. And he's sending a very unambiguous message telling us to come to his planet.
Granted, but Edmund's data is more promising.
We should vote.
Well, if we're going to vote, there's something you should know. Brand, he has a right to know.
That has nothing to do with it.
What does?
She's in love with Wolf Edmonds.
Is that true?
Yes. And that makes me want to follow my heart. But maybe we've spent too long trying to figure all this out with theory.
You're a scientist, Brand.
So listen to me. When I say that love isn't something we invented, it's observable, powerful. It has to mean something.
Love has meaning, yes. Social utility, social bonding, child rearing.
We love people who have died. Where's the social utility in that?
None.
Maybe it means something more, something we can't yet understand. Maybe it's some evidence, some artifact of a higher dimension that we can't consciously perceive. I'm drawn across the universe to someone I haven't seen in a decade, who I know is probably dead. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. Maybe we should trust that, even if we can't understand it yet. All right, Cooper. Yes. The tiniest possibility of seeing Wolf again excites me. That doesn't mean I'm wrong.
Honestly, Amelia, it might. Tars, chart a course for Dr. Mans.
All right, we just got done watching Interstellar. In case you at home have not seen this, didn't watch it along with us, I'm gonna try to summarize this real quick. But this movie is a mind fuck of things happening. So it's in a near future, and there is like a blight that is affecting the entire planet, affecting crops. They also mention how, because I think they said the nitrogen count is like increasing, or it's feeding the blight, and so also the oxygen is running out as well. So a lot of the world are like farmers. Our main character is Cooper. He was trained as a NASA pilot, but NASA doesn't really exist, or so most people think. And he's a farmer. He's raising a farm. He's got a couple of kids. His daughter Murph claims there's a ghost in her room, and it's like making books and stuff fall to the ground. After like a dust storm, they find there are weird lines in her room, dust lines, and they're able to like parse it out with Morse code, and there are coordinates, and then it leads them to
No, that one's binary.
a binary. That's right. There's a binary message with coordinates, which leads them to secret NASA that has existed this whole time. And they learn that NASA does have a big giant plan in motion. Recently, a wormhole has appeared in the solar system.
50 years ago, actually.
Oh, yeah, 50 years ago.
50 years ago. Yeah, 48.
48 years ago. They have found someone has put a wormhole near Saturn. They've been able to send some probes in there, and they're like, yeah, this takes us to a different galaxy. And there are some potential star systems with habitable planets that we could potentially relocate. So they say, like, we've already sent like 12 missions into it, and with people going to go check this out. Extremely risky mission, and they're planning another mission with now the Starship Endurance that's going to go into the wormhole. It's going to go to this one star system that has 3 planets, and they think that one of them should be able to satisfy life conditions. Meanwhile, Dr. Michael Caine, he's working on his gravity equation. They're hoping to build a giant starship, like multiple giant starship stations that can ferry humanity into the wormhole once they find a planet, but they haven't figured out the equations to do that yet. So he's still working on that. So that's plan A. And they're like, plan B is we've got all these basically fertilized eggs ready to go. And so we can like colonize that way and keep the species going. So they recruit Cooper to come to pilot the starship because he's one of the best there is. And he has to leave his family, and his daughter Murph is upset by it because they're like, you don't know when you're going to come back or if you're going to come back. So we get a really like emotional parting. He goes on the starship. One of the crew members who's on there is Michael Caine, the scientist's daughter. She's there, played by Anne Hathaway. She's there as well. Brand. They launch the spaceship. They go into the wormhole, which is a trippy sequence. There's lots of trippy sequences in this movie. They go to one of the planets. After going through, they find one. We should note they're in the star system. There is a black hole in the star system, Gargantua they call it. And one of the planets is kind of close to the black hole. So like, if we're going to go check this place out, there's going to be a time differential because of the gravity. So they go to that first planet. It's just like a water planet. It's not going to satisfy their needs. They lose one of their crew members there. They're trapped there for a bit, so they come back, and one of the other crew members, he's just been up on the ship for like 24 years. Is that what they said? He's been waiting for him, and then they got to go check out. They don't have enough fuel to go to the other two planets and then go home, so they have to pick which planet they're going to go to. Turns out Brand, like, she is in love or in a relationship with one of the astronauts who had gone to one of the planets, and she's saying we should go to that one. But then there's another one within like an active beacon that's like, come to this one, come to this one. But she's like, well, the data is better on this planet, and my boyfriend's there. But she makes a whole speech about love and how maybe we need, like, love is like the one force in the universe that, you know, that's more powerful and that we need to listen to. But in the end, they decide to go to the planet with the beacon, which is an ice planet, and they find one of the astronauts there, the main guy, Captain Matt Damon.
Evil Matt Damon.
He's been there for a while. He's initially like, oh yeah, I know it's an ice planet, but there's a surface and we can stay here. This is great. Turns out they can't stay there. He's fudged the data, and he's kind of gone a little stir crazy out there, and he's planning to take control of the mission. Still in his mind, like, saving humanity, but it's like, we're not going to actually save the people on Earth. Our only shot is just like the fertilized eggs. He ends up dying because he's an idiot, and damages the Endurance spacecraft. They lose another one of their crew members. At this point, they only have enough to essentially slingshot the ship like around the black hole so they can fling the spacecraft to the last planet. But in order to do that, they have to kind of jettison parts of it and some of the weight. And so Matthew McConaughey as Coop actually jettisons himself into the black hole so Anne Hathaway's character Brand can slingshot and go to the other planet. And he falls into the black hole in a very trippy sequence. But it turns out once he's in there, there is like a construct that has been built for him that he can kind of interact with space-time, specifically in his daughter Murph's room. And during all this, like, years are passing. So his daughter has grown up and is working with Nazca and is working with Dr. Michael Caine on trying to solve the gravity equation so they can get humans off. But they're like, the only way we can do this, we need information from like a black hole to do this. And the movie's fun with time because it's constantly shifting between, like, on Earth, the people on Earth, and the space, like in the same scenes and sequence. And Coop in the black hole is able to send messages using like spent space-time gravity. And like that's what's initially sent like the coordinates that got him to Space NASA that kicked all this in the first place. And he's able to send a message or send the quantum data for the singularity they need to figure out the gravity equation. So in the end, Murph on Earth is able to solve the problem. They're able to get humans in these crazy cylindrical gravity ships that they're going to fly through the wormhole into this planet. Cooper is rescued by the humans, and he does get to have one moment where he gets to actually reunite with his daughter Murphy, who is now old and on her deathbed.
The construct is human designed, but way in the
future. And
yes,
they figure out the construct is human designed. It's like humans from the future who have done this. So there's definitely timey-wimey shenanigans involved. And then Coop kind of blasts off to go find Brand on her planet, and that's as she's kind of setting up camp for humans to come settle, and that's kind of where we leave. This is a difficult movie to try to
it's a good summary.
Give us succinct, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in all that. We'll start with initial thoughts. True. initial thoughts on Interstellar, our newbie.
To just start, just wow, I'm blown away. Genuinely blown out of the water. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. And it exceeded my expectations by a landslide. It was amazing.
Yes.
I was a little nervous at the start because I was like, what is this kind of farmy thing going on? But then to see how it all evolved, I was like, whoa, okay, I get it now. This is crazy.
Yeah. It all comes together and pays up for like, it feels like the first hour is like earth and cornfields and dust and
church organs.
And church organs. So a little worried at first, but it all came through.
Yes, and I will admit, so I do like me some good sci-fi. This was very like modern kind of sci-fi to me, and I'm not the biggest fan of space movies in general, like just space-focused movies. They're not my favorite. But this, oh my god, it's easily the exception to that. Easily the exception. The scenery was beautiful. Hans Zimmer's score was amazing and phenomenal. He should come to our work.
Yeah,
please.
Yes, he should. Yes, he should. Interstellar in concert.
Yes, please. One thing I really loved was the like still. There was a lot of still shots, and the shots in space specifically. There was just dead silence, and I think that really added to the environment of it for me, and kind of made it feel like a very immersive experience because space is a vacuum. There's no sound in space, so the fact that they actually kind of kept that was something that really threw me into this movie.
I wonder if that relates to the dimensionality at all, because there's this big thing about dimensions and like how we sense them.
Yeah.
And like sound is one of our senses that doesn't feel dimensional. Obviously it is, but yeah.
That's a good thought, yeah.
The silence is really impactful in the movie.
Especially when it's also I mean, you had mentioned while we were off mic, Ananda, but sometimes it's like really quiet, and then that organ comes blaring in, and just yeah. I'm curious, just going off of what you said about there was how most space movies aren't generally your thing, but this is the big exception. What do you think? What makes this work for you compared to some others? Just on the kind of just quick thought about it.
So like, obviously I'm a big horror fan. I always bring things back to horror because it's my thing. And it kind of like this and The Martian. I love The Martian is another one of my big space movie exceptions. There's that kind of like, oh no, kind of anxiety, fear that this is an almost impossible situation to get it out of. How are we going to get out of it? The clock is ticking all the time. So there's that sense of urgency. And that I really felt that throughout the whole thing. The shots, like I said, the shots of just that emptiness, that kind of threw me in as well and had me just feeling that deep-seated, like, whoa, wow. And just one little, like, kind of nitpicky thing I kind of noticed was there's a shot with the space station by the black hole. In my brain, I was like, it wouldn't be that big next to a black hole. Black holes are, like, insanely huge. You wouldn't be able to even see
movie canceled.
But that was just one little
That's
nitpick.
it.
But I think that like those kind of elements really made it for me, and kind of like it's very story driven. So, and a lot of them are more action themed, I kind of noticed. So I really like that this one's definitely more story and character heavy, because Cooper's character is amazing. He's a very nuanced, complex character, and who very obviously cares for his family. And it was kind of nice seeing a space movie that wasn't super actiony or kind of surface level, and it was actually just all around beautiful. It had that sense of space is scary. Space is genuinely scary, and obviously most space movies, I would say a lot of space movies do that.
Like, it's scary, but not like exactly like there's not someone coming after you with a knife, but it's just like the sheer scale, like humanity dying there and space, things are going wrong. You're just like, oh my God.
Just the hostility of the environment, right?
Yeah. Right, absolutely. And the multiple environments they go to. Wonderful. I'm glad it all worked out. I would have hate 3 hour just like.
I knew I was gonna like it, but I wasn't just sure on what level I was gonna like it.
Well, expectations exceeded.
Extremely.
Love it. Excellent. Ben, I know this is not the first time you've seen it. Initial thoughts coming off of this viewing?
Mostly confirmatory. I mean, after you see something a lot of times, I nitpick on movies, and there's only like 3 problems with this movie, and that's great.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're very minor. They're like size things, and then Dr. Man. I wish they hadn't called him Dr. Man.
Dr. Man.
Yes, it just drives me nuts. Other than that,
we must save mankind.
Exactly.
Can you imagine if our homeworld was now just called Man's World? It's like,
what they just, yeah, exactly. Why don't they just call him Dr. Man's Flaws? No, Cooper's character development was a little even better for me this time. Great acting job. It's great because a lot of times in movies, I think that the real touchstone characters are these intellectuals. And obviously he's a smart guy, he's an engineer or whatever, but they don't play on that. It's more about they really reflect on the sacrifice he's making.
Yeah.
And his bravery in doing it. So I think that's really, I saw that a lot more this time. Mm. And then, the silence again. In space, it would be silent. You often don't see that, but yeah, you wouldn't hear anything, right?
Yeah.
And that's really striking. So it was a great movie.
I love that they have the guts to do that. And I think sometimes some filmmakers think like people won't like it. It won't be interesting or exciting. And, for something like Star Wars, yeah, give us the big, pew-pews, whatever. But this, like so much of the most effective moments are the silence, but there's just this kind of, you can still sense the power and danger of it all. Like, I think it elevates the danger because there's no sound.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're playing music, the silence between the notes is important as the notes, right?
Right.
Because you can't hear the notes if you don't hear the silence. And I think it's a lot of that. And then I think the last thing I'd mention on this time around was the time dilation thing, which is here it's a physics motif, and he uses time dilation in all of his films, but in this one there's 2 types of time dilation that are going on. One is like the physics of time dilation, and the other is how time affects relationships and personal age, right? And I think it was really interesting this time to watch.
Yeah, the time dilation, that's a good singular thing to focus on for, I think, what the movie is doing on a broad sense. Is the movie is really science-y and spacey and stuff, but the human stuff is just as prevalent, and I think the movie does a really good job of like interweaving the science-y, spacey stuff with like the human drama. It's almost seamless. The time dilation is a really good kind of like example of that, how there's the physical time and then there's like the human relationship time.
And I guess he tries to make 2 other points in that regard. One of them is that so they're in a 5-dimensional space, right? Which means up, down, left, right, and time and gravity. Yeah. And they make a big theme about gravity being not time dependent, and therefore it can reach across time. And I think they try to make the argument that love or relationship can do the same thing.
Something similar, yeah.
Yeah, reaches across time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I don't completely buy that part because it's like evolutionarily, I think the reason we love people after they're gone is because that preserves a reputation and then all the things they said you should do. So it does have a social benefit, right?
Yeah, they kind of, as someone who has studied some anthropology, when they say like, there's no social utility for caring about people dead, I'm like, every anthropologist right now is like, that's not true. Definitely not true. Right. Let's talk about ancestor worship.
Yeah, exactly.
And how that contributes to social cohesion.
Yeah.
All really good points.
And one last thing, the little handle you grab onto in the truck,
Yeah.
that's usually super clean, not dirty like in this movie, because you rub the dirt off of it every time you grab it.
Yeah. That should be movie canceled.
Exactly.
Movie canceled. Christopher Nolan, boo. All good points. I like it. Ananda, our first of the super fans. Thoughts on this 400 millionth viewing of Interstellar?
What I picked up more at this viewing was just the intensity of relationships. You know, you have the scientist dad slash trying to save humanity, but then his relationship with his daughter, which you can't really tell, might be a little strained, I'm not sure. And then we have, of course, Cooper and Murph. Then we have Cooper and his son, but then his son is able to create and have very powerful bonds with his wife and children, including the one that passed. That came out a lot. And then, of course, up in space, where we have the scientist's daughter longing to be with a person who she says she's in love with. So I just kind of picked up more on just the dynamics of how complex relationships can be, and then you add in the time gravity dimensions, and it seems like all of the relationships to some degree got strengthened. Literally by gravity or time and space and force or whatever. I like that one line where Anne Hathaway's character says love is quantifiable, which is really interesting. And then she also kind of describes it kind of like as a force, you know. Made me think of may the force be with you. But what do we really mean by the force, right?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that was something I think the first time I watched it, because again, this is the first time I've seen it since I first watched it. And the first time I watched it, it was more like, what's happening? Making sure there's just so much stuff to pay attention to, and making sure I'm kind of following all the big sciencey stuff and the plot stuff. And the fun part was for me, now that I know all that, and so when I'm watching some of the stuff in the beginning with like, there's a ghost and like the books, I'm like, oh, I know what this is. Like it's Coop in the future in the singularity, like trying to reach out to her. So, you know, it was fun for me kind of now knowing a lot of that, like what's going to happen, spending more time focusing on like the characters and there is so much strong like character and relationship stuff. And not just, you know, like positive lovey stuff, but also like some, you know, hard stuff with like Michael Caine, Dr. Brand, kind of on his deathbed admitting that he'd be kind of lying about we can't actually really solve this equation. And then the son character trying to raise the farm and wanting to hold on to it, and him kind of fighting against Murph, and she's trying to get his family all off the farm because of the dust and it's poisoning their lungs. And Dr. Mann is also like, he's the one on some level is waxing the most on like some of these things, but he's going off the deep end. So it's interesting how for all the characters, good or bad, this like love thing is pushing and propelling all of their actions within the story.
Think a lot of them are driven or motivated by the love for somebody else, but then one would have to ask, what is man motivated by? Self-preservation, right? Because he said, I don't have any attachments.
Yeah.
Right? So...
But even vicariously, right? I mean, like he will do anything. He will do anything for the goal. But one of the goals is actually other fertilized eggs to survive.
Yeah.
Not him particularly.
But do you think he was driven really by the mission itself, even though he was like the main person, or his mission to survive and to get back to the Endurance and maybe back to Earth or something? I'm not sure.
That's the point I've backpedaled on a little bit. I thought he was totally vindictive and bad last time I saw it. This time, he is immoral by their standards, but it did come across to me that his real goal is the mission.
He has nothing else. That's like all he has. So
I think with man, it's someone who's been isolated, and he's been He's been the most isolated from everyone else of all the characters in the story for the longest time. So, and I think on some level he's kind of lost some perspective. I think it's kind of one of these, he kind of represents this threat of, because I think he genuinely, at least in his own mind, he's like, it's for the mission. It's for everyone. And he's like, it's for the species. But I think on some level, because of the isolation, he's deluded himself on some level, where on some level it is self-preservation, but he's like, he's not conscious of it, or he's convinced himself it's this kind of love and preservation thing from others getting misdirected, and it's really about his self-preservation. So I think he kind of represents this kind of the danger of losing that connection, and you get lost in self-preservation. I think is kind of what's going on with him. It's kind of interesting. Aren, our other super fan, on your 500 millionth view of this, what are you coming away with? Initial thoughts?
I don't know. I loved it even more than the last, 499,000. Wait, hold on. 499,999,999. I got lost there. Yes, I love it more every time I watch it. And it's fun to hear other people's perspectives. Because I usually just watch it by myself over and over again. My little Interstellar bubble.
Like wormhole bubble of just Interstellar playing all around you.
This it has such a different feel from other sci-fi movies. I put it up there with like Apollo 13 because both of them feel very real in how they're approaching space and humanity. And like I said earlier, when I go, this movie gives me the same kind of feeling as when I go to a planetarium, because it feels real about like space and how it is and how we view it, rather than being just like, it's Hollywood, we're gonna have a space adventure, and there's gonna be a sun zombie, it's just about people going into space and what we come across, but it's like actually us rather than just like characters. Because like even though they're from the future, their world feels very relatable and
grounded, yeah,
and grounded. And so I really like that, and that's one of the reasons I really like this movie and Apollo 13. There's not many other space kind of movies that give me this same kind of feeling. And because it feels so relatable and like close to us, and because it has this kind of like hope and sense of adventure, I can enjoy it more, rather than as more than just like a fun story, where it's like I feel like you can really look into humanity when you watch something like this. I really love the way Christopher Nolan edits his movies, especially when it's stuff like kind of what's on screen right now, where it's like they're having a conversation, and maybe if you think about it too hard, it's like the pauses between conversations so they can go to another location to immediately pick up where they were saying before. It doesn't make sense, but I still like it. Yeah. And I like how he edits the different time, I guess they're not different times, I guess just the different like Earth versus
the space stuff,
versus the space stuff. I don't know. I don't know why I cried more this time than ever before. Maybe because I was so locked in. Because I don't know, it's a different environment that I'm watching it in than I usually do. Usually am. I don't know.
What were the parts that brought tears?
A lot actually. I don't even know if
start to finish.
I don't know if I can remember them now, but I know the tears were almost constant. From the moment he said docking, from there to the end, that docking scene. It seems so silly on paper. It's just like one of the most epic scenes you've ever seen in all cinematic history. We're docking with a space station, but it's so good. The music and the stakes and the tension. Oh my gosh, it's
Come
so
on,
good.
Tars.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I love all that. I definitely also was paying attention to some of the editing and the splicing between the the Earth stuff and the space stuff, which I thought was really interesting. Like they were cutting to like scenes of, you know, Murph in the childhood home trying to convince her brother and the family to like leave, and they're cutting to the ice planet where they're Matt Damon and Matthew McConaughey are like walking and talking and just and you know, like these scenes don't necessarily need to be happening at the same time. So then it's like, you know, what's the kind of connective tissue and why are we seeing this at the same time? And really interesting kind of storytelling.
I like it because it's like Murph and Cooper are really close, even though they haven't seen each other for decades or whatever. But it's like they're both doing a similar thing. They're kind of fighting against like a person, you know, to try and get to their goal or whatever. And they're both working, and they're both secretly working towards the exact same goal. You don't realize it until he gets into like the Tesseract or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting because also, like, what's the Tom that is the son character? You know, because man in his kind of own, like he's convinced himself he's doing this for the mission and everything, but clearly some kind of self-preservation, selfish thing is kicking in. But at the same time, we're seeing Tom. And he's like, no, we're not leaving. We're hanging on to the farm. And you can see this kind of misguided sense of like, my family lives here and like the family legacy. And,
maybe
but it's
preserving
like,
the past versus the future.
Yeah.
Like they're not bad people, but they're coming at it from this kind of selfish, stubborn viewpoint, you know, and Cooper and Murph are like fighting against that, both of that, and they're where they are.
I like that because there's no real like villains in this. And even those who are kind of antagonistic at times, Tom or Dr. Mann, but totally kind of understandable and relatable. And it's from their own perspective, it's like a good intention, warped good intentions. That's
a good point. There's no real villains in the movie.
No.
I mean, missed Dr. Mann a little bit, but
even then it's like,
you get it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's doing what he thinks is right, you know, but, you know, he's not twirling his mustache or anything.
I actually I think I prefer movies and stories, books, whatever, where there's not really a villain, it's just antagonists, in a way. I mean, of course I love a good villain, you know, sure. But like, I don't know, I just like when there's more just like antagonistic forces, you know, I don't know why, but.
You know, can I mention a bit of
please.
Directing or editing that I thought was really good? There's so many cases in plays and movies where a character's line gets interrupted. And it's always really, really hard to pull off because the line is only written to the ampersand, right? So it's like, and it's never directed right. You know the part where a man blows up the space station and he's about to give some big speech?
The big speech.
And he's like, and there's a moment.
Yeah,
it's just gone. That little segment right there is actually really well done because it doesn't seem contrived like they almost always do. Yeah. It's like he's in the middle of some big statement he's going to make and silence.
Yeah, and I think the use of silence there was just like, whoa, that it just intensified that scene because everybody's like on pins and needles trying to figure out who's going to get there first and if it's going to latch and all this stuff. And then finally, as you said, in the middle of this great line that's about ready to come out and then boom. And then the silence. It was just amazing.
It like almost scared me a little bit how like quickly it just got cut off. There was just that like burst, like almost like burst right before Matt Damon's character like got sucked into space. And I just kind of like sat there like, oh wow, that really just happened. Wow.
He really shouldn't have opened that airlock.
I really like that because it also adds to realism. I feel like a lot of the times it's just like, movies will always make extra time somehow to allow people to make some kind of last final statement or speech, and it's like, okay. But this one's just like, no, in real life, sorry, it'll blow up before you can get it out. So
they do a similar kind of a thing. It's a little different, but it's when Coop is watching. There's the scene where there's like 20 years of messages to like catch up on, and a lot of them have been from his son Tom, and he's seen him growing up. And then there's the message from Tom where he's like, I'm I'm letting you go, Dad scene, and this is my last message. And during all this, you have the swelling like Hans Zimmer music and Matthew McConaughey. We got the classic meme of him like crying.
I almost couldn't take it seriously, but I was like,
memed into oblivion. But then as soon as like the message stopped, like the music, it like cuts, and he wants to be like, "Hey, who turned off my Hans Zimmer? I still got more of my kids' messages to watch."
And then he grabs onto the monitor like, "Don't let me go. I'm not letting you go." And then all of a sudden Murph pops on.
And then Murph comes in, yeah.
I think it just made her message to him so much more impactful.
Because no one was expecting it. This is kind of an aside. Similar note. My favorite cut in the entire movie is how they get that message, and when it ends, it cuts to her for the first time, I guess, like
as an adult character
on Earth. Yeah.
I
thought it was great.
She's his age now, and now we see that she's working on the gravity equation on Earth, and it's a really smart time jump.
It's
cut.
seamless.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in this notion of time because I've seen quite a few of his movies, and so one that we've seen quite a few, Ben and I, is Memento, and you have to figure out where are we in time, and then they start to cross over. And then his latest film, Tenet, does sort of the same thing. And I found watching it this time that we had, long shots of things on Earth, then on planet, in space, then on Earth. But then as we started to kind of get lost in time, the scenes started to cross over and actually happen simultaneously, I think. That's how I kind of interpreted it. And then they separated again, with his finally seeing Murph in bed, and then he's off to the next journey. But it seems like the scenes eventually came together, overlapped, were existing simultaneously, and then separated again.
In a way that only Christopher Nolan can do. Even Oppenheimer is all over the place with like time. You're like,
it's the same in the silence.
And the silence, yeah, and just kind of sitting with things, and similar kind of also the huge science-y stakes and plot, but very kind of human and kind of where your attention's supposed to be. This was interesting for me to watch. I haven't seen it in 10 years since it first came out. I think on some level when I watched it the first time, I experienced a small degree of I don't want to say disappointment, but the movie had been out for a little bit before I had seen it, and I was in Florida, and people were saying like, "Oh, it's so good," and this is why you never ever overhype things. Never do it.
Long legs.
Yeah.
Did not reach the hype.
Never good overhype. Always bad overhype, because in either case, it's never going to meet those expectations. But that's good for bad things. That's bad for good things. So I think on some level, I walked out, and I was kind of like, "Oh, okay, that was really good." I think I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. As if some people are like, "This is like the next 2001: Space Odyssey," or maybe it's even better than 2001. I'm just like,
I don't think so, Dave.
They're such
don't think so,
different
Dave.
movies.
They are different, though. But watching this, I'm like, I definitely get shades and hints of 2001, and he has cited 2001 as being certainly an inspiration for the film, of course, especially some of like the wormhole
There's like
stuff.
an overarching vibe that's very similar too, right? About self-discovery or something.
Yeah, and like the human species and where we're going next and that kind of a thing. So, but then it does feel like its own thing. So I feel like on some level I was spending a lot of time watching it the first time, just like making sense of everything and just kind of being like, oh, well, that was good. But really liking the score. That was the thing that stuck out to me the most the first time. This time, like I said, because I was able to, I knew everything, getting to focus a lot more on like the characters and everything. And I don't think I fully appreciated Matthew McConaughey the first time I watched it. And watching it this time, I'm like, oh, he's fantastic.
He's so good.
Like,
he's so, I don't know. He's like so quiet and mumbles a lot. But like he has like his own gravity in this movie where, I don't know, he's so
it's a real kind of like, I feel like genuine stoicism. I think sometimes stoicism gets seen as just being like emotionless and like nothing ever affects me. And I'm like, no, this is someone who is not repressing their feelings. He's very much feeling all of his feelings, but he's able to kind of keep that sense of duty, or just that sense of what he needs to do for him.
Compartmentalization,
yeah. But he is very actively feeling it all. You can tell he has lots of just intense
Expressions.
face acting going on in this. And I don't think so I feel like on some level I didn't quite appreciate some of it in the first go around. And this go around, I was like, oh yeah, this is really well done from a production standpoint. Like, it's an incredible production. The special effects are insane. This movie hasn't aged. It's 10 years old. It hasn't aged a day. This still looks better than most things I see. I know a lot of it's physical models, like the Endurance spacecraft and everything, and like it really lends a kind of authenticity and realism.
That's one of the great things about Nolan is that he's so big about practical sets and effects and whatever, and he just uses CGI to like supplement them rather than like the reverse in a way. I don't know. So he really, focusing on more tactile and like real.
Oh yeah, it feels real tactile, and I felt that for being so cosmic, it being tactile makes a huge difference for not getting lost.
I think there's two places where I'd like to go and look again where those are hard. One is water. So the water surface, I'd like to look at that planet again and see if that holds up. And the other is the dust storms. I didn't look closely.
Yeah.
Everything else is like space, which I've never been to space, so you could totally fool me, right? But I'm curious. It's a good point. It looks all very, very real.
Yeah.
So immersive and.
Makes a huge difference.
And the robots are very believable too, actually.
Oh,
they're so goofy, but I love them, and I love how they move around. I was really watching how all the weird ways they moved around this time.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Come on, Tars, you can do it." And then when they had to send them off, it's like, "What about Tars?" And then he comes back again. We're like, "Yay, he's returned."
Kind of had a deeper thought about the robots as I was watching. Actually, I kind of felt like they were almost a way for the characters to express their like need for like that human connection. Like, sure, they connect with each other, but I almost felt like they connected more with like Tars and the other, I can't remember the other
Case.
Yeah, I felt like they connected with them more than anyone else. And because specifically like in the scenes on the water planet when was it Tars who was carrying Brand out of the...
it was Case?
Oh, it was Case?
Tars stayed up on the Endurance with Romley.
That's right.
Yeah.
When Case was carrying Brand out of the water and was just being that kind of savior, and how they were like, wait for Tars to get on the ship. And I just thought it was really interesting. And hearing you talk about like the relationships as a first-time viewer, that actually really made me consider it more, because the whole time I was just like, wow, space. And then I was like, okay. But thinking about that and then thinking about the robots, I kind of made that connection, how the robots were really, really a good tool to like portray that need for connection and emotion.
Yeah, and then at the very end, when he decides to go back out, who does he have with him? Tars.
Yeah.
I love their whole arc together, because when they first meet, he gets tased. And they're like, he's like, I'm going to turn you into a vacuum cleaner. And then when he finds Tars in his house museum, he's like so excited.
Yeah.
Best friends.
But there's something about the settings there, right?
Yeah.
Like to be relatable, I think everybody has their own flavor. And like 90% honesty, 75% humor. It's very quantifiable things. And those are two things that you can really go over a tipping point really fast. If you're too honest or too dishonest, if you joke too much or too little. So I think it's interesting that he gets to be set to McConaughey's liking,
Yeah.
And that the robot has to have some kind of humor too, as opposed to just being a sterile robot. He's able to interact with the humans.
Yes, I love that. Like, I remember liking them in the first time I watched it too, but I really latched onto them in this one, and because it's such a in most of these kind of space movies, 2001, we get Hal, and Hal's the closest thing to the villain. But even then, in 2001, he thinks he's doing what he's doing for the good of the mission and everything. But there's still that kind of AI gone wrong element.
Can't trust him.
You can't trust him. And I love at no point did they even flirt with any of that here.
Only once as a joke. The very first time Tars talks.
Right, as a joke
plenty
at
of
the very
slaves to my
beginning.
robot colony.
I was so relieved because sometimes I get a little sick of that trope.
Oh, I know.
But because it's kind of really overdone. Like even Disney's done it in WALL-E. It's that overdone.
Yeah.
But it was just such a breath of fresh air to see them actually have the robots actually be good for once.
And they have the trust setting once.
Yes.
Right.
And I think they're a good avatar for some of this relationship we've been talking with, like you guys have said. It's like, because even when they're doing the jettisons, when they're slingshotting around the black hole and they jettison Tars, but when he's initially proposing it, Anne Hathaway, she's like, "What do you? No, like
Cooper, you asshole."
Cooper, you asshole. But there's a real attachment there, and I love that they have the same kind of feeling and affection for these robots that are with them. And which also is so smart is that I love that they don't make these like, it's not Data or C-3PO. They're not anthropomorphic
from Prometheus,
robots.
that David from Prometheus. Or
yeah,
something.
they're like these.
Vocally, they are though.
Vocally, yes, but not like physically.
Visually, yeah.
So physically, that's a robot. That is a thing. But then they act very human, and I thought that was really interesting.
And it's the first time we've seen this type of robot, at least that I know of, that's like this, rectangle thing that has like moving legs and could run and spin and do all this
Swiss
stuff.
Army knife.
Yeah.
Super unique.
Yeah.
Really cool. Yeah, and I think the actor who plays Tars, I think he's there on set, like he's actually controlling the robots, and then he's voicing it. I think he voiced both of them, but then another actor in post plays Case just to differentiate them. But I also love that they have different personalities. I like that Case is kind of almost more introverted, and he's like, Tars does most of the talking or whatever.
No, that was my team status at Cicero for years. Just literally, Tars talks plenty for both of us.
I love that line.
I love that, and I think it speaks to some of the larger. It's kind of like, the movie's not about AI, but it's a really smart use of it in that the AI is only there to help, and AI is just as concerned about helping and saving humanity. And really, all the AI is just an outgrowth of humanity, and it kind of speaks to this large. It's just us. It's like AI is really just us trying to help each other, like us in the future coming back. Like AI is just another part of ourselves trying to help each other, and I love that kind of. It's a similar kind of love thing. It's a really fun use of the AI, and they look super cool. I love when he just starts spinning off on the water planet. You're like, yeah, go get him. I'm curious what you guys think about if we're just looking at more like if we're looking at the basic premise. So we get like this kind of failing Earth, and they're going on a quest to find like a new planet. Is this a case where the premise itself is really compelling, or is this a case where the execution really elevates the premise? Because we've seen like because this goes into not dystopia, but like post-apocalypse or like near apocalypse kind of stuff.
It's like post-apocalypse.
Yeah, so I'm curious what you guys think about, is this a really strong premise as is, or is this a case of execution really kind of coming through and kind of elevating the material?
I think there's a linchpin that matters for that discussion, and it's this idea that the wormhole just appeared.
Yeah.
At the very early part of when they start getting worried, a wormhole appears. So that changes the premise.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd think, let's make a space station or let's go to a near planet.
Yeah.
But if a wormhole appears, well, that's a sign.
Yeah.
And so the premise gets better, right?
Yeah, it changes everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's use that then.
Let's use the wormhole.
That was my thought. So I think some parts of the premise are very science fiction-y,
Yeah.
but because the wormhole appears and it retrospectively turns out they probably put it there themselves sometime in the future,
Yeah.
then it works for me.
What do you guys think? Strong premise or really good execution elevating a premise?
Personally, I feel like this kind of premise has been happening, like been in existence in media for a long time. Like even the Twilight Zone has done this before back in the 60s. So it's, for me personally, it's not really something that would draw me in if I just heard like, oh yeah, this is a movie about them trying to find another planet to live on. I'd be like, okay, been there, done that. Or they're going to go to this other planet. Been there, done that. But I didn't really know that that's what this was about going into it. And seeing the way it was executed, that is what has definitely drawn me into this movie. I feel like it was very unique and very realistic in comparison to a lot of others. And a lot of other portrayals of this kind of storyline have either been like, we need to go now, we gotta go now, there's this threat that's coming now, or it's like a meteor. It's really rushed, and like the anxiety is almost too much, where this kind of anxiety is really more drawn out, especially with how time works in space. That's what makes, I feel like that makes this really unique, and how you can see like the actual effect of that long term, both additionally on Earth. It's really unique to me. So that's just kind of my thought, is that the way that this movie portrays that is very different and very well executed in comparison to a lot of other ways. And not to say that I don't necessarily dislike the, like, we gotta go now, but I feel like more often than not, that's kind of how it's portrayed. So...
Yeah, and I think there's this sort of sense of desperation from the very beginning of the film, with the dust storm coming in and all of that. But through most of the film, you still have hope that they're going to get back, and they're going to get back in time, or they're going to be able to solve the puzzle or whatever. And it's not really until, Michael Caine's character kind of says it's all been a lie. And then you realize now what's going to happen. Yeah. They're out there in the middle of nowhere. They're longing to save, humankind. They're longing to see, or at least Cooper's longing to see his children. But now what? Right? It just gets very complex at that point.
I feel like on its own, I don't generally like the idea of like, oh, we need to just go colonize another planet rather than fixing our current planet, because obviously climate change and all the garbage we're doing to the planet is making it worse. And rich people are like, let's go colonize Mars. And it's like, we shouldn't have to go colonize Mars. We should be able to fix the problems. But I like the way that they approach it in this one, because it doesn't feel like it's coming from that necessarily. It's more just like the planet's just, something bad happened and we're trying to hang on. But it's like, but it's not, rather than just like, oh, we're running away to build our super colonies or whatever. It's just like we just want to survive and live. I don't know, but it's not coming from this weird, like, capitalistic, like, we destroyed the planet kind of a way or something. I don't know. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but...
Yeah, the okra's just gone. It's nobody's fault that the okra's gone.
No, right.
The Lorax can't fix this one.
Right, and it's even the fact that it's NASA, they're definitely speaking to like the public greater kind of good, and they're presenting a situation where they're as like it's hope, like staying on Earth is not viable, like it's a situation where we have to go, but it's not about it doesn't feel like a super like we're gonna go conquer space now, it's about like saving us, ourselves, and being there for each other. And I think this is one of those movies where conceptually it is more than the sum of its parts. It's like you get like the kind of blight, end of humanity thing, and that fine, and you get like we found a wormhole in space, cool, and there's lots of kind of unique things, and like the gravity, and there's messages being sent through space time, and I think it's one of these things where all these things though come together to make something that's really interesting, when maybe all these things kind of separately are fine. Each one of these is its own cool little thing, but they come together in a really unique, interesting package. And while it does feel very, again, like 2001 or whatever, but it does have a very unique, or even something like, like Gravity or whatever. There are some, I'm like, that's kind of, but like this still feels very standalone and singular. And
somehow this feels more real to me than Gravity. Because Gravity, when I was watching, I was like, this is exciting. Obviously, they're doing their normal just space stuff in orbit or whatever, and they're trying to be kind of, realistic. But I'm like, it's still just like Hollywood. And I don't get that feeling with Interstellar necessarily.
The one sort of suspension. So in other movies, there's always somebody jumping from one spaceship to another and they make it, or some crazy just doesn't happen. There's a bunch of those in here, but they're really, really believable. Like the docking scene, which is like in terms of action, the best action scene I think I've ever seen. There's a couple of directing things too, where the spin is all off, and then you start to see right when the ship starts to catch up on the spin. It's really impactful, and so totally unrealistic. Couldn't happen, but I kind of didn't have any problem believing it.
I think the movie has earned so much like trust and goodwill at this point. You can tell there's a lot of like love and passion being thrown into this project by everyone involved, like the actors and behind the camera, Hans Zimmer's score. You can tell everyone is throwing a lot of love and passion in this project. And I think the fact that they are going the extra mile for like the scientific accuracy and to get it right, even for the things that are going to be maybe not as
frozen clouds.
I think scientists have said the two biggest things are like the frozen clouds would not work,
and super time dilation.
They would hit the ground. Well, the other one is actually the oxygen on Earth. They're like, yes, but this would happen. This would take millions of years, not like like a generation. And then I think other things are more like exaggerations more than like this just couldn't happen. I'm like, that's pretty good for a movie that is so out there and so huge, and it'd be so easy for them for a lesser filmmaker to come in and be like, who cares? Let's just go and do this really cool looking thing and the audience won't care. But I think
what we would have gotten with Spielberg, I feel like. As great as this director I think Spielberg is,
you wouldn't care so much.
It would have been about, I don't know. That would have felt Hollywood to me, I'm sure.
Yeah, just that attention to detail, I think, when we get some of these huge scenes like the docking scene, it's like, could they actually do this? Maybe not, but because they've done so much homework.
But it's not zero. It's just like super low probability.
Right.
Which makes it acceptable.
Again, they've spent so much time and effort on all of this that it helps to suspend your belief just enough for some of those things. Yeah, right. Even though it's not like it's impossible, And of course, who the hell knows what happens when you go through the event horizon of a black hole.
That was really good though, right? Like, not overemphasized, sort of believable, spherical hole.
Yeah, very subtle how they do it. And I think it was like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, once you go through a black hole, who knows? So honestly, at that point, you kind of can do whatever the hell you want. But I think they still do it in a way that feels... It's the most out there the movie gets is in the black hole and the construct in the black hole. But again, the movie has earned it. It earns that kind of... Now we've gone off the map now, but because we have paid so much attention to the journey on the map, that once we go off and we kind of can do whatever we want, we've earned your trust. And even then, it's... because it's all kind of set up in the beginning with like the ghosts and everything, so it's like it all pays off. And again, I think it would have been really easy, I think, to screw this movie up and not get it right. And I feel like the fact that they pull it off is, you're like, bravo, guys. This would have been so easy to screw up. I am curious. this is the closest thing I have to like a personal nitpick or a criticism. And I felt this more strong the first time I watched it. I still feel it this time, but not nearly as much. It's not movie breaking or anything. There's still part of me that feels like the resolution gets a little too magical for me, where he goes into this black hole and this idea that it gets really timey-wimey with like future humans like reaching back, and it does open up some ideas of like paradox and how did all this.
No, Jaron. And there was a timeline where he never found NASA or whatever, and they just went in. And because he wasn't there to interfere, whatever, they ended up going to Edmund's planet. They started their colony. Those were the humans that were in the future, and they're like, you know what? We can help more people by making this thing, and that created a new timeline. Where that's my theory.
Okay. And then like somehow it's not really explained how he gets out of the black hole, and then he gets rescued, and that all feels pretty improbable. I'm like, how did they
find him?
How did they find him? How did they get out of there?
It was the bulk beings. They sent him through the wormhole or whatever, and right where he was floating was a little. You could see it. There was like a little comm buoy or some kind of thing. So. Probably connecting to his suit.
I like so this is always a problem, right? When you have time loops. What was the first loop and how did they survive the first loop to do the second loop? And all that.
Second loop, yeah.
But I don't know. I think the loop's always there. So first time through, the loop was there. So it is. Because if they're in the multidimensional space, then all of the sort of cause and effect stuff kind of breaks down in there.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I just kind of see the loop as always there. It's always the case that he goes in the black hole. It's always the case that there's a construct for him to understand things. And it's always the case that he can then communicate back to save mankind that then goes on in some future to make the construct.
Yeah.
Like the loop is the nature of, it's there from the beginning sort of thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, and throughout the movie, they kind of hint at and talk about, there's just more to the universe than we know and realize. We might operate in like a 3-4 dimensional space, but that doesn't, that's more a case of like, as humans, we can't see ultraviolet, we can't see, but it's all there. This is just the presentation of what we experience. And so they do kind of talk about like, is, love some higher dimensional force as well that somehow kind of makes this work and everything.
See, to me, you can just consider like what is just gravity is we're just considering love. Like maybe it's just
love is gravity.
It's gravity
like
between people,
pulling.
So that's what allowed him to see her room in the Tesseract and whatever, And we just call it, an easy way to call it is love, because obviously that still has something to do with it, but.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some interesting relationships between like love and gravity, just that attraction, that force between us all.
But then once the linear concept of time breaks down, it's very easy for the bulk beings to say, well, how would Spielberg end this? He would send him to Saturn, he'd be floating, he'd be picked up, he would meet his daughter when she's older, they'd play baseball on a satellite, and then he would go find the woman.
Okay, yeah, so hyperdimensional, 12-dimensional humans from the future to make it in a way that we can understand gave us a Spielbergian ending.
That's right.
They will understand Spielberg. It is within your comprehension. Okay. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't, it in no way breaks the movie or anything. I think there's some part of me that wishes I somehow got more of a resolution. It definitely like, wow, what all exactly happened? But on some level, you are supposed to walk away just like.
I wouldn't want it to be over explained or anything like that. I like how it ended so open.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't want to over explain too. And so it's hard for me to even know like what I would want. But once you start getting into like time loopy timey-wimey. It's really hard for it to not come across on some level as, I mean, Doctor Who does it all the time, and Doctor Who is more fantasy than science fiction. It's always like his get out of jail free. Oh, well, you know, we just go back and do it, and we created the loop, and yay, you know. But I think just because of some of the themes and everything, like it ends up working. I don't know what I would want. But especially since they've spent so much time with each little segment of this, and I'm fully comprehending it. The ending just a little bit feels like and humanity saved.
where does that start for you? Before or after the 5-dimensional space?
I think it's once he goes in there. And there's like the bookcases and stuff. I'm like, this is when it starts to get a little magical for me. But again, they do say like, and I like that. And I think I forgot from the first time that like, this isn't just a literal black hole. There's a construct built in there for him. I'm like, okay, I can allow that. You know, but you know, him kind of, when he's like pushing on the books and everything, or like sending, I'm like, what exactly is happening here? Like, I metaphorically understand what's happening, but I'm like, but what exactly is he doing? And then when it all kind of breaks down, and then he's just in Saturn, and then he's woken up on the bed, I'm like, oh my God, wow. All fine.
Yeah, I think for me, like, it starts after the construct. I think the first time I saw it, it was with the construct. Because I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, whatever, what is this? But that construct scene has grown on me a lot. Yeah. If I think about how would I represent all time at one time, well, then you have to focus it on a single space.
Yeah.
So if you can focus it on a single space, then you can show all the times.
Yeah.
And the more times I've watched it, that scene gets better for me.
The both beings are just giving him the controller. That's all.
Yeah.
So
I love how it's portrayed. It's really cool looking, and it's really hard to try to communicate an idea like that to an audience and have it make sense. And so the fact that they pull it off is pretty impressive. I think it's just it just feels a little magical for how, again, grounded most everything feels up to that point. And even on some level, I'm like, they say it's a gentle singularity or whatever. I'm like,
well, then he says it's
just
not
gonna survive.
Well, then he says it's
going
not at all gentle. It's immediately afterwards.
Yeah. But even like, would anyone actually survive going into a black hole?
We don't know.
We don't know. Like I said, it doesn't break the movie.
Well, you imagine future beings know how these things work. The construct doesn't necessarily start after he gets in the black hole.
Yeah.
It could start before that.
Yeah.
They have such a grasp of all the dimensions, especially gravity. It's like maybe this is their special little black hole.
But if they have that, if they can do that much, why can't they just even like, here's a ship to go do it, and like, why can't they even just do it themselves?
Because they're so lost in the sauce of all the dimensions that they can't pin, like you said, they can't go in specific points of time. It's like we can build the tools, but we don't necessarily know how to use them to help you. It's like you have to go in because you know how to actually like work with like the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the first, second, or whatever, you know. It's like, but they're so beyond that, they don't even remember. You know, it's like we need technology from the future and the technology and skills from the present of this movie. You know,
I wonder if A Very Special Black Hole was the original title.
Yeah, it's their very special black hole.
Christopher Nolan presents A Very Special Black Hole this Christmas at Hallmark. Yeah. Again, I think the ending is the thing that feels to me like that would have been so easy to screw up and in the hands of a lesser filmmaker just come across as a huge cop-out. And I don't think it does. So again, shout out to Christopher Nolan for
I just think all the pieces are there throughout the entire movie to make it work, because everything that is built up to that. Like we have all the bookcase garbage, we have the handshake, you know, and it's
set up throughout the film, so it doesn't feel like just this bullshit thing
Out
they
of
pull
nowhere,
out
yeah.
of their ass in the ninth hour. Like it's all built up to like, oh, I got it. So they make it work.
I had a random thought. I don't even know if it was, but I just noticed it this time. And it's just like with the editing between Earth and the Cooper, we see Murph holding the lander that's broken in half, and we cut back to him ejecting from the ship, and then we see the ship in two pieces flying away. I don't know if that was intentional, but I thought it was cool.
Knowing Christopher Nolan, probably. Probably. I guess speaking to the Christopher Nolan at all, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but like, we've talked about how this movie just seems to kind of, even compared to other, around this time, there are other sci-fi spacey movies about high concepts and like love being the most powerful force, like Gravity, Arrival.
Arrival, my
there's
beloved.
There's a few kind of movies that kind of are explore similar things. This one still kind of feels like it stands out as something special. Christopher Nolan's directing. I don't know, what is it about? And he seems to be able to bring out these qualities in all of his movies on some level. This kind of larger, even though like Inception is not the only movie about dreams. This is not the only movie about space. I don't know. So what is it about? What is it, Christopher Nolan?
He just sees
What
things.
does he bring to these?
He just sees things in such a unique way, and he's filled with so much passion about filmmaking and storytelling. And he does what he wants, and I don't know. He's not like bound by anything. I don't know. He's like, he went into a black hole, Jaron, and he saw things. So
He's the 4-dimensional human from the future here to save us.
In a lot of his films, he's not bound by linear time, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a big boundary. Like everybody who tells a story has to be linear time. And even from like Memento on, the thing that was crazy about it was you're jumping around in time.
Yeah.
And so the linearity is through the themes or whatever instead of the timeline. This
Right.
one's more linear, actually, in time, even though it's got dilation and stuff. But
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention enough to this cutting between space and Earth. There's probably something to that. Because I know in his other films, he cuts between black and white and color.
Yeah.
He cuts between different places in the battlefield or things like this. So
Inception, like the different dream layers that
Yeah,
people are
exactly,
at,
cutting between those.
Yeah.
And I like him. I think he never treats the audience like they're stupid. He's willing to do complex things. And even if he has to explain things in his movies, he loves exposition, but he does it in fun ways. But it's like he never does it in a way that's kind of like babying you, and I really like that.
Yeah, and that comes out with Cooper speaking with TARS in the fifth dimension. Like,
Exactly.
okay, in case the audience may not completely understand
the
what's
one
going
place.
on here, this is what we're doing here.
I was very grateful for that scene because I was also like, what the heck?
And then Tars comes in and goes, this is a fifth dimensional construct created by the bulk being so that you can communicate with the past.
Got it.
Thanks, Cars.
Yeah, totally.
But he does do it in a way where you don't feel like, again, you are being talked down to. It's just like you feel like on some level he's holding your hand through these big high concepts, but not like that you're stupid or
Yeah,
can't get
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But, one thing I would really like to see as like a scientist is a graph of the sound dynamics of this film versus other films. Because I think there's a lot of subtlety to, the scene and the dialogue all matters, but I think he really plays the music and the sound level to accentuate that really strongly.
Yeah, I remember reading the reviews on this movie when it first came out, and they purposely were messing with the intensity of the music, the silence, the dynamics that hadn't been done in his other films. So, like, Inception has an amazing score and all his other films, but this one they purposely were really working with things that you wouldn't normally expect. And when you saw it in a theater, the sound was so intense that you can physically feel the sound as well.
He's really interesting with his sound mixes because he gets so quiet with some of the dialogue. And he almost seems hell-bent in some of his movies for you to not fully understand every single second of what was that?
Tenet.
What was that?
Tenet is a big.
What did they say?
It does this a lot.
There's a lot of big words being thrown. Like I would like to, but they're all speaking so quiet, and it's like he purposely like brings down the dialogue. Like when we started the movie, I had to play with the volume at the front to kind of find, because it's either going to be too quiet or too loud, and so you gotta find where it needs to be. But even then, like, it feels like those dialogue scenes are right on the cusp of being too quiet. I'm like, but then suddenly the movie comes screaming in with the sound, and I don't see a lot of other directors play with sound mixes like that. And he seems hell bent on doing it that way, because he gets flack for it sometimes. Like Tenet, I know got a lot of flack for that. I think Dunkirk got some flack for that too. Some of the
That's
dialogue
what's brilliant about Dunkirk, though.
Muffled and yeah. I would love to pick his brain about this, and because the ambient noise, most films don't. Like a good example is the cornfield truck scene. There's a lot of sound and ambient noise happening, and there's a lot of dialogue happening. In most movies, the dialogue would be over the ambient noise, but in this, the ambient noise is louder than the dialogue, and that's almost unheard of and almost like a huge no-no. And I'm so curious as to what his thinking on that is, what he's trying to do with that.
During the docking scene, it's like that too.
Yeah.
The music is you can barely hear the dialogue and the yelling of the captain behind the music on that scene.
Other directors, they have a little control panel that has like 3 buttons, but Christopher Nolan like taped on another section, so he has like 4 more buttons on his control panel. That's why he's better than every other
moving in 4
director.
dimensions.
And they go to 11, all of them.
Well, these guys are 11. He's playing Christopher Nolan's playing 4-dimensional chess with us. Any other kind of like thoughts on the film itself, whether like the themes or the production design or?
Production design is gorgeous.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
It's incredible.
The space scenes and the farm scenes.
It's incredible.
And we didn't even mention some of these other actors who did so well. Like that guy was so good.
The astronaut who's up
on
there
the ship for 23 years.
20 years. Yeah, he is really good. I really like. I know some people struggle with Anne Hathaway. I think she's great. I think she really brings it in this. She's very believable.
I think they all are. I think when I see Matt Damon, I just see Matt Damon acting. But even then, I'm like, no one's like being like extra or like super dramatic or like overacting at all. Everything's so, I don't know. But they can still bring these super heavy emotional moments without being ridiculous, you know? I don't know.
And that's hard. Yeah, like Matthew McConaughey is so emotive in this, and I feel like again in the hands of a lesser actor, it'd be really easy to mess it up. But you're right there, and like, he's such a kind of everyman character, and sometimes that doesn't work. But man, he really makes it work and makes him, like you said, true, like a really layered, kind of nuanced.
He really feels like a real person to me in this. The way he interacts with. And the different ways he interacts with everything. I love his parenting choices and how he talks with his kids and how he talks with his kids separately, like, you know, and how he talks with the grandparents. I don't know. I just love the way he interacts with everything because there's little, I don't know. There's so many little nuances and stuff in how he does it. And he feels so real to me. And I love it.
One thing that I really liked about him, like, I know a lot, like, part of acting is that you gotta, you know, be able to portray emotions really well. But one thing is his crying. Like, it's showing him cry on scene right now.
As we're watching the meme scene.
I've been wanting to bring this up. His crying feels so real, and the fact that he's like not afraid to show that emotion, and like on screen, and I feel like it just proves how amazing Matthew McConaughey is as an actor, as well as provided that that kind of specific trait to his character, is that he is not afraid to cry.
To ugly cry.
To ugly cry. And it shows just how much his family actually means to him and how big of a part of, like, obviously throughout this whole thing, it's all for his family. It's all for his family and all the other families out there. But when he starts ugly crying, seeing his kids 23 years later, it just, it's such a good show of character and acting.
Oh, yeah. Well, also when he's in the black hole, when he's behind the bookcase, he's like, stay! And he's doing his ugly crying there. And he's just like, he's just going for it.
And I love when he's driving away from the house. And he's, you know, he's crying. Yeah, like, I love that. He's trying to keep it in so bad, but he's like,
as they're playing the countdown and she's running out, and then the
engines. In those Lincoln ads.
I didn't drive a Lincoln to be cool. I just like the way it feels.
yeah, totally. But no, actually, like in this movie, in this viewing of this movie, I think he moved up a couple notches on my list. You know, he's really good.
Yeah, he brings us, and I think in a lot of ways he's the emotional glue that makes this whole movie work. You're just so dialed in on him and empathetic with him, and you can pour yourself into him and kind of relate, but you can also see him as a character to empathize with. And God, yeah, he brings the fire. And this is not an easy kind of. I'm looking at kind of what he's doing. I'm like, this is not an easy role to play. Like, there's big emotions to play and big stakes to play, but it's not like he has some really easily identifiable like character quirks. He's got to really dig in and play like a real person, and that's a hard and a huge setting. He does a really good job. The whole cast, Jessica Chastain,
love her.
She brings it. The kid actors and the adult actors, and they grow up, is
perfect casting.
Perfect. Timothée Chalamet going to Casey Affleck. Perfect. Don't even think about it. Seamless. Like when we're seeing like adult Murph on screen for the first time.
Oh, that's Murph.
And you're just like, oh my God, that is her. Like, that's crazy that they're able to find good actors to be those, to make it work like that.
I remember when she portrayed the adult version of Beverly in It Chapter 2 a few years back, and I thought she was a horrible casting choice. So to see her be portraying like the adult version of a character in this, I was like, this works so much better.
Yeah, she was not like young Bev at all.
No.
Where was this?
Exactly.
Just miscast.
Very much so. Even though she did great in that movie, but
I don't know if Christopher Nolan is like an actor's director. He seems very conceptual, but he seems to get really good performances.
Oh, he has his favorites.
He has his favorites. Yeah, I love when directors do that. Like, they just keep reusing people.
Yeah, like I didn't really care for Anne Hathaway initially when I first saw it, but then I'm like, wait a minute, how many of his other movies is she in, right? And then now she's grown on me because you can see sort of the more human side of her as you watch it a couple of times. At first, she was very cold for me, and I just have this mission, and I'm a scientist, and then you find out, oh, there's somebody else out there that perhaps she would like to reunite with, and you can kind of see her breakdown.
Yeah.
I had lost track that she actually didn't know, her character didn't know. That, I thought that she was in on it as I remembered it, but I see in this one that she didn't know that her father had fibbed.
Yeah, I think her face expression, she did a great job on that part where she finally learns, or she sees the video, that her father had passed, and then also, did you know?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, what?
Devastated.
And then you see Cooper behind her going, know what, right? Were you in on it? Yeah, that was a great thing.
She's devastated. She's almost like ugly crying back there. Just, yeah, and I had forgotten in the first viewing that she has a lover or partner on one of the planets, and that helped kind of paying attention to her performance, because we don't learn that until they've launched. So, but we get introduced to her earlier, and but you can tell going back, it's like she's playing some of that energy in those early scenes. That
she has a motive.
Yes, she already has someone out there. She's already lost someone, but then like her dad is here on the planet. Yeah, interesting she's in a whole interesting. I almost feel like in a way it'd be interesting to see this movie completely from her point of view, just because of her own kind of relationship stuff, that like her dad on the planet and this person she's trying to get to and everything, but she has this larger mission and everything. Yeah, I think she's great.
Would a guy that age really have a manual wheelchair? If he works for NASA.
I like how Michael Caine, I like how in the future, it's like we're now 20 years in the future. I'm like, and you just look the same, Michael Caine. I just speak a little slower, but I'm wearing the same shirt. They only had me for 2 days of filming, so we just stayed in the same shirt.
I know Nolan gets a lot of flack for writing like not great female characters, but I like them in this movie. I think they're great. So,
I don't know. I don't know if I would say he doesn't do good female characters. But his films do tend to be more male heavy.
Oh, for sure.
I would say more. I think my criticism would be more of like a gender parody more than he doesn't do. Like Oppenheimer got some criticism. Like, no, I like them in this. It's just that the movies are always pretty male heavy.
Yeah,
I think would be my criticism.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, not like how he actually writes.
I like
women
them
that are
both.
actually in his movies.
Yeah. We also have to shout out Topher Grace as a random doctor boyfriend at NASA. I'm like, Topher Grace is in this too?
Love when he grabs the tire iron. It's like, oh, he's about to get in a fight.
It just feels like random actors keep appearing. Oh, Matt Damon's in this. Oh, Topher Grace is in this. What are you guys doing?
Well, I mean,
here?
I love looking at the new casting for his new movie, and it's just like, oh, Zendaya's going to be in it, but she's not. She's probably just going to be like a little cameo, and I'm like, yes, this is why I love his movies. I love seeing the people he gets for them, even if they have a small role.
Well, especially now, I'm sure they're like, yeah, I'll definitely be in it. Like,
yeah.
I'll drive the car.
Who's going to say no to Christopher Nolan? It's so fun seeing baby Timothy Chalamet, like before he became like a whole thing in this movie. I'm like, oh, Paul Atreides.
I swear I read recently that of all the movies he's done, the one that he likes the most is Interstellar.
It's a good movie.
Which is funny because he's barely in it. But
it's a tiny small part.
Yeah,
he's fun. What about the flat tire?
I love it. Iconic line.
That's how you got a SAG card, probably. Flat tire.
You're hired.
The first full movie I've ever watched that has Timothy Chalamet in it.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Up next, Dune Part 1 and 2.
Well, actually, in terms of errors, I do believe Murph is already in the truck, but when they drive away, he's in the middle seat. So they like jump in and climb over her quick, or what?
Yeah. Movie canceled.
Well, you saw how good they were at swapping driver and
That's true. They
mid drive, so they're probably just very adept at this.
They totally set that up, didn't they?
Yeah. They're just adept at that.
One thing I definitely want to, if I were to try to pay more attention to in another viewing is, because this movie they film both on 35 millimeter and IMAX, and they go between them. So sometimes the movie's like what we're seeing right now, where you see like the letterbox, and then sometimes it's taking up the whole screen. I'd like to go back and pay more attention to when they're using the IMAX and when they're using the 35 millimeter. Is it just the big action sequences? Is it like I'd be curious to see if there's a kind of like an intentional thing that's going on between.
Like the one right now is character analysis, so maybe it's all the character stuff.
Some of that stuff is there, and then some of the big space like action sequences have like blown up. Because I think like some of the cornfield chase is even kind of blown up. It's kind
I
of
don't quite buy the driving through the cornfield at that speed either.
Yeah, just plowing through it.
There's no irrigation ditches or potholes. Yeah.
Let's see if there's any little behind the scenes that would be fun. For the cornfield, they did actually plant 500 acres of corn to then destroy.
Wow.
And they donated some of it, I think, too.
I would be surprised. Mm-hmm. Ben, you had mentioned this when we were watching, but the movie starts and throughout the movie you get little bits of...
Aspect ratio changed.
Oh yeah, I'm so curious as to, but now we're back. I'm so curious when they're doing it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it until now.
Yeah, it happens throughout the film. So if I were to watch it again, I'd like to pay more attention to when they're cutting between Earth and space, and then when they're using the aspect ratios, like what scenes they're using, which one for. You had mentioned this, Ben, but like throughout the movie, and especially at the beginning, there are talking heads of people talking about the Dust Bowl, and those are actually from Ken Burns.
Okay.
The Dust
Because they were
Bowl.
so good. I was like, either this is what's funny there is the acting was so good in this, but when you see someone who's not acting, you can see the clear difference.
You can tell
just in the way that people talk.
It's different.
It's when you compare those interviews with Ellen Burstyn's, because they interview her as if she's also in the same set of interviews, but there's a very clear difference.
She's an actor. That's fun though. I like that because if you go back and watch the Dust Bowl, which I have seen, and it's fantastic, like all Ken Burns, it's like, oh yeah, this is all from they use this in Interstellar.
That's cool.
On our way over here, Ben had an interesting idea that I hadn't thought about before. Do you want to bring it up?
This is also wrong.
Do you want to bring it up just to see?
I was remembering back on the film and like, what's the biggest trope in movies? Oh, it's all purgatory.
Yeah. Right?
That might be the case here because in that initial scene, very first thing that happens is a crash.
He's dreaming about the crash.
And the whole film is about when you're about to die, you think about your children. Right?
Yeah.
And so one thought, it doesn't come across strong. I don't think you could ever logically deduce it one way or the other, but I thought maybe he dies in that original crash.
He's dead, and this is all some sort of
purgatory,
before death purgatory thing. Huh. Can you imagine? He's dead.
Which thankfully at the end he just shows up by Saturn instead of saying Andy was dead the whole time.
And he died. Like the ending to Quantum Leap, and Dr. Sam Beckett never returned. Series over. Oh, what?
It's like, even if you couldn't do more, you could have at least just wrote a different line. Written. Could have written.
Wroten.
There you go.
You could have wrote in a different line.
Yeah.
When this did come out, this does have generally positive reviews. This movie has gotten some criticism for being. Some have criticized it for being a little dull or clunky in bits, or too sentimental. I think
it's pretty sentimental.
Yeah, and I can also see how Spielberg was originally attached to this. Like, he's very much the sentimental kind of guy.
It felt like, what's the film that was like half Kubrick and half Spielberg?
Artificial Intelligence.
It felt like that a little bit when you did this transition to the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I see those criticisms, but I don't know if I would necessarily strongly agree with any of them. Like, maybe I'm like, yeah, it's a little sentimental. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel clunky as much as it feels bulky, just because there's just so much. And again, even watching it on a second watch, I'm just like, I get more out of it, and some of my earlier kind of feelings kind of diminish. So I wonder if it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this is a movie that lends itself really well to multiple viewings and watch throughs. I feel like you could always, and I'm sure you guys even just watching it now, that there's always just new things you can pick out and kind of latch onto.
It hasn't got a lot of explosions.
No.
Which, I mean, my
couple good ones, but
yeah, but my criticism of like films that I see that are so popular now is it's just like
explosions.
Needs more explosions. And so I think some of those criticisms are against that backdrop. I have no criticisms of the speed of the film.
Especially when compared to most things that come out nowadays, I'm like, oh my God, this. All right, I think we'll start to wrap it up. Do some final thoughts. True, final thoughts on Interstellar.
I'm still just blown away by how beautiful of a movie it was. The story was incredible. Like, if this was a book, I would absolutely have read it and I would have eaten it up. But I think as a movie, this is like the perfect medium to tell this story. Oh, yeah. And Now I think I need to go watch 2001: Space Odyssey. I've never seen that one.
It's so good.
Oh,
I know.
buckle up,
It's great,
Drew.
it's great.
It's different.
Get ready for another experience.
I am very much ready for it. But I think this is making me want to give space movies as a whole maybe a better shot. It's making me kind of rethink my kind of like about more spacey sci-fi movies.
Maybe there is something to it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
More Star Trek.
More Star Trek. Yes, always more Star Trek.
Always more Star Trek. Wonderful. I always love creating new fans out of people. Ben, final thoughts on Interstellar?
No, it was a fun time. It was nice to discuss it with all of you guys. I think I really was able to see the acting in much more focus here because I wasn't trying to follow the story so much.
Yeah.
And it was really well acted.
Agreed. 100%. Ananda, any final thoughts or any more thoughts that you jotted down?
No, it's just another excuse to watch it again in its entirety and take in the music and go along for the ride and feel the emotions and everything that I get out of it every time I watch it. And I'm ready for the next one. Next time. I love this film.
It is a goodie. Aren, also a hardcore fan. Final thoughts on Interstellar?
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means whatever can happen will happen. That sounded just fine to us.
That just sounded just fine to us.
No. Greatest movie of all time. Christopher Nolan made this movie specifically for me. From
the future, he's like, there's going to be Aren, and I have to transmit this back through time.
Yep. I told you, he's gone into a black hole. He knows these things.
He knows.
And I just have to get in my quick little trivia. I had a former student who went to film school, and they were going to be showing this film in Los Angeles for film students and directors and whatever. And he wound up giving me his tickets to go attend this. So I had the opportunity to be in Los Angeles to watch this on the 70mm, I think, with Christopher Nolan there on the stage and a Q&A afterwards. And I will never, ever forget that experience.
Oh, amazing.
Damn.
Year.
You get an A.
Extra credit.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about them apples?
All right. Yeah, this is great. I feel like this is one of these things where, because I didn't dislike it the first time, but I was just kind of like, that was great. I liked it more this time, ironically on a smaller screen. And I could see this being a movie kind of revisiting over the years and kind of enjoying it a little bit more each time, and just again finding new things. And I think I would agree with you, Ben. Like, I think I kind of underwrote the performances the first time around, and this time around, that's actually a lot of what I think. The first time I was so focused on the space and just like, oh wow, everyone is really good and really selling it. So good job, everyone. Even you, Topher Grace. Bringing the fire.
He also showed up in Heretic as a random missionary who's barely in it. And I'm like, why did they get him for this?
Anyone could have been this part.
He's like Rob Schneider. They probably edited Rob Schneider out. You can do it.
Man, he is finding hard work after that 70s show.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for coming and watching, everyone. This was a great time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the invite.
Of course. This was a good little group and a good little movie. I'm glad we decided on Interstellar instead of Tenet. That was the original plan. And it's still on the list, so it could still come up. I still want to see it, but I'm glad we went. This felt more appropriate, especially for you, Aren, because this is your final episode as co-host. Unbelievable. Going out on a high note, though.
It's true. It was the best movie you could have chosen outside of like that thing you do.
This was, of all the Voyager content we watched, this was the best one.
Yeah, it wasn't Star Trek, but it was pretty darn good.
Pretty good. Yeah, Aren, it's been a blast and a pleasure and a privilege having you on the green couch with me as we watch all these Voyager episodes and Interstellar.
I don't know. It's very exciting. I'm excited to come back one day for anything.
We will definitely have you back on again, rest assured. We will, our 4-dimensional time selves in the future will make sure that it happens. Yes, it's been a lovely ride, and thank you so much for coming to do this with me.
Of course.
All right, everyone at home, we hope you enjoyed our coverage of the movie, if not the movie itself. We will be off next week, but after that, we will be getting into a brand new batch of Star Trek episodes. What is coming down the road? I'm sure many of your hardcore friends know exactly what's coming down the road. It's been a long road getting from there to here. What could it be? Yeah, that'll be exciting. All right, everyone. True again, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jaron.
Ben, thank you.
My pleasure.
Ananda, thank you.
Thanks again.
Am I going to see you two at work tomorrow? Who's working tomorrow?
I'm working tomorrow.
We're working tomorrow.
All right. If any of you are late, I'll know why. So no excuse. Aren, thank you.
Of course.
And we will see you all next time. Hopefully not falling through a black hole and getting trapped behind your daughter's bookcase in space-time. Hopefully that's not happening. That would be very traumatic. All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye.